Councilmember Peterson. Here. Councilmember Peak.
Here.
Councilmember Fields.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Brian had a family emergency.
Chair Pro Tem Miles.
Present.
Vice Mayor Nickerson.
Here.
Mayor Wood.
Present.
Thank you.
We'll start the meeting with an opening prayer from Pastor Sandra James, First Mount Zion.
Prayer. Gracious and loving God, thank you for this day and for the privilege of prayer. We pray your divine guidance, wisdom, and support for this council and this meeting. Help them to engage in meaningful discussion by keeping an open mind and heart to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of community that will result in a peaceful and fruitful outcome. Thank you for hearing our prayer, and may your name be forever praised. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for that prayer. Madam Clerk.
At this time, can we have Skylar Hood and Andrew Christopher to come up for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I'm going to ask that everybody stand as well.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for that beautiful rendition. Ms. Skylar Hood is a student, fifth grader at Fannie Fitzgerald Elementary, and he's at Porter Traditional School. All right, give them another round of applause for that. All right, next on our agenda is going to be our swearing in of our zoning administrator and our town clerk. And we're going to ask our clerk of the court, who is here with us today, Miss Jacqueline Smith, please. The floor is yours.
Raise your right hand. I solemnly swear
I solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United States
to support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
and to faithfully and impartially
and to faithfully and impartially
discharge all the duties
discharge all the duties
incumbent upon me
incumbent upon me
as a zoning administrator
as a zoning
for
administrator
the town of Dumfries
for the town of Dumfries
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Thank you. Tomorrow, and we'll send you a copy of this.
Next, we will have the swearing in of our town clerk, Ms. Nikisha Lucas. Please come on down.
Well, they repeat after me. I solemnly swear
I solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United States
to support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
and to faithfully and impartially
and to faithfully and impartially
discharge all the duties
discharge all the duties
incumbent upon me
incumbent upon me
as the town clerk
as the town clerk
for the town of Dumfries
for the town of Dumfries
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to both of our newly sworn in members of our Town of Dumfries team. Please give them one more round of applause. Next on our agenda is going to be the adoption of our agenda. Council, any changes to the agenda? Madam Clerk, were there any changes, rearrangements to the agenda?
There weren't. No. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, there are. It's two changes on item 11, reports and presentations. We're going to move item H, the updated budget calendar presentation. We're going to move it up to under item B, the request for funding nonprofit presentations by Ms. Jordan. And then we're going to move the quarterly update on the Heiser Boys and Girls Club. It's going to be moved under G, under Slave Cemetery.
All right, thank you, Council. Any other additions or changes to the agenda? Okay, seeing none.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and second. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Madam Clerk, call for the question.
Councilmember Peterson,
Aye.
Councilmember P,
Yes.
Councilmember Fields,
Yes.
Councilmember Brown, Chair Pro Tem Miles,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nickerson,
Yes.
Mayor Wood.
Yes.
Motion's passed.
Next on the agenda is awards and proclamation. Proclamation for Problem Gambling Awareness Month. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. So I will be awarding proclamations to two organizations to support Problem Gambling Awareness Month. Tonight's proclamations help us to bridge a gap between our commitment here in the town of Dumfries to economic growth and community health. The two organizations are Churchill Downs, which has had significant contributions to our economy and support system for those facing challenges. And tonight we will acknowledge them with as far as their work in the community. And also I want to recognize Wendy Hunt and her team from Prince William County Community Services Wellness and Prevention Team for their work, and to let them know that I look forward to building a working relationship with them. So I will read the proclamations, one for each of the organizations, and ask a representative to come up and offer them an opportunity to accept the proclamation and come to the mic and say a few words. Okay. Starting with the Prince William, is there someone here, Wendy? Okay, great. All right, so Problem Gambling Awareness Month. Whereas March is designated as Problem Gambling Awareness Month by the National Council on Problem Gambling, and whereas problem gambling is a public health issue that impacts Americans of all ages, ethnicities, races, and gender, and is affecting 1% to 3% of the general adult population, often results in personal, financial, and familial, legal, and other costs, including a high risk of suicide. Excuse me. Whereas problem gambling has significant societal and economic costs to individuals, families, businesses, and communities, and whereas problem gambling is treatable and treatment is effective in minimizing the harm to both individuals and society, and whereas the Virginia Council on Problem Gambling and the Virginia Lottery are working to raise awareness and public education about problem gambling, along with the availability and effectiveness in treatment. And where several organizations in the Commonwealth have joined the cause and members of the Virginia Council on Problem Gambling to help mitigate the risk of risk to the estimated 2% of Virginians that experience gambling problems. And whereas any individual, professional, or other organizations dedicated to assisting those in need can participate in raising awareness and preventing problems gambling by promoting the statewide confidential toll-free and 24-hour problem gambling helpline at 1-888-532-3500. And whereas Vice Mayor Monet Nickerson is a patron for raising awareness for problem gambling. Now therefore, the Dumfries Town Council do hereby proclaim the month of March 2024 as Problem Gambling Awareness Month and urge all citizens to help those that have gambling problems to get the help they need. And witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the town of Dumfries be affixed this 5th day of March 2024 by order of Dumfries Town Council, signed by the mayor.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Wendy Hunt. I'm with Prince William County Community Services on the Wellness and Prevention team. And we want to thank you for recognizing March as Problem Gambling Awareness Month. As mentioned, problem gambling does impact approximately 2% of Virginians. And so that is something that we want to raise awareness about. Problem gambling includes all gambling behaviors that impact, compromise, disrupt, damage personal, family, vocational, and other life opportunities. Recent information indicates that problem gambling may be connected to more suicides than substance use. And so that indicates that this is something that we just want to be aware of and help our community know what resources are aware so that if gambling behaviors increase, they know where to reach out to. At Prince William County Community Services, we're a public agency that provides mental health, developmental disability, substance abuse, emergency services, and early intervention programs for all residents of the greater Prince William area. As part of the Prince William County Community Services Wellness and Prevention team, we partner with our Prevention Coalition of Greater Prince William, and the Trauma Informed Community Network is two groups of professionals and residents from the greater Prince William area that are working to improve our emotional health and well-being of our community, to include problem gambling, suicide, substance misuse, and lots more. And so we encourage you, if you are, as residents, are looking for more opportunities to learn on how you can increase awareness and have those dialogues, to contact us, and we will give you those opportunities to learn more. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one is for Churchill Downs. Whereas Churchill Downs CDI maintains an unwavering commitment to the safety of its guests and responsible gaming, and they have a moral, social, and business responsibility to promote responsible gaming among the employees and patrons. And whereas CDI maintains a company-wide responsible gaming policy focused on promoting safe and enjoyable wagering experiences and to prevent problem gambling. And whereas CDI employees receive extensive and continual training on the company's commitment and their role in promoting responsible gaming, this includes training to define the characteristics of responsible and problem gambling, learn different gambling behaviors, understand the progression and signs of problem gaming, know what to do when you recognize a problem, understand self-exclusion, assist and refer information, including specific resources and training on how to share information with guests concerning available services. And whereas in Virginia, CDI complies with all responsible gaming regulations. This includes conspicuous posting of contact information for problem gambling resources, written materials at the facility on the dangers associated with the problem gambling, information on problem gambling and resources in marketing and promotional materials, routine audits of patron activity to identify patrons at risk of problem gambling, training to prevent impaired wager activity, compliance with the state's self-exclusion program, an annual report to the Virginia Racing Commission on efforts to identify problem gamblers, and whereas CDI takes initiative taking steps to prevent gaming by underage individuals, including mandatory photo identification checks and protocols for responding to unattended minors at or near gaming facilities. And whereas CDI's commitment to responsible gaming is consistent with its company-wide commitment to be a good partner for its guests and the communities in which it operates. The centerpiece of this community commitment in Virginia is the Rosie's Give Back program, which has made $2.5 million in direct donations, 195,000 plus in-kind contributions, and more than 2,500 hours of donated volunteer service. The program supports a range of nonprofits and causes around Virginia, including providing services in education, workforce development, and support for veterans and law enforcement. And whereas Vice Mayor Monet Nickerson is a patron for raising awareness for problem gambling, now therefore, the Dumfries Town Council do hereby proclaim the month of March 2024 as Problem Gaming Awareness Month, and call upon individuals, professionals, and other organizations to assist those in need by raising awareness and preventing problem gambling. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the town of Dumfries to be affixed this 5th day of March 2024 by order of the town council, signed by the mayor, Derek Wood.
Good evening. My name is Aaron Palmer, Director of Government Relations for Churchill Downs. And thank you, Vice Mayor, members of Dumfries Town Council for this proclamation. We've been in the community since about 2020. We're honored to be a part of this community. And you know, we need to make our commitment is to make a safe environment for all guests, and really appreciate your all's work in the community. And it's something that, you know, we take to our core, and it's something that we train our employees in to look for any signs of problem gaming so that we can get people the help that they need. One of our core missions is to give life back. And one way in which we do that is by partnering with every community that we're in. And we're proud to have just recently sponsored the new community center being built in Dumfries, and also a commitment to good quality jobs in the area. So with that, we really appreciate your time and proclamation this evening. We look forward to being a partner with you all, and also partnering with you all as we continue to help those who need in our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is a proclamation commending Pastor Crystal Woodard on International Women's Day. Whereas International Women's Day is a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. And whereas the Dumfries United Methodist Church, a pillar in our town of Dumfries community, with services including Sunday school classes, Sunday morning in-person, Wednesday night in-person Bible study, bread baskets, and all kinds of ministries that serve this community. It's been led and dedicated and inspired continuously now by Pastor Crystal Woodard. And where she made history as the first Black woman to pastor at the Dumfries United Methodist Church, exemplifying leadership, devotion, and a commitment to faith and community service. Whereas her leadership not only uplifts the spiritual lives of her congregants, but it also serves as a beacon of hope and inspiration for women and girls in our community and beyond, embodying the principles and values we hold dear on International Women's Day. Now, therefore, the Dumfries Town Council does hereby commend Pastor Crystal Woodard of the Dumfries United Methodist Church on International Women's Day. In witness thereof, signed Mayor Derek R. Wood by order of the council.
Good evening, everyone. All glory to God for all things. Lord knows if it had not been for the Lord, I would not be standing here before you today. Special gratitude to Mayor Wood and the entire council for this award and for your ongoing support. You all have been extremely kind to me. If you know me, you know that I have a passion for education and ministry in general, but I have a special love for community outreach. How did I get here? Well, in 2022, after searching for months and trying to decide on a new place to live, a friend referred me to a community in Dumfries known as Potomac Shores. Upon arriving to the community, I immediately felt comfortable. I felt at home. That being the case, I began to explore the town and city of Dumfries. Shortly after, I began to visualize developing the Life Center, where I would hold worship services and conduct community outreach in the community. 3 months later, after signing a contract on my home, surprisingly, without anyone involved knowing that I was having a home built here, I was recruited and appointed to the Dumfries United Methodist Church by my district superintendent and bishop. Shout out to DS Sarah Calvert and Bishop Sharma Lewis for this opportunity. Proverbs 16:9 says, "We can make our plans, but it is the Lord who orders our steps." While I never imagined pastoring a Methodist church in Dumfries, Virginia, God had a plan for me. God had an assignment for me here in Dumfries. God knew that I needed help with the vision He gave me. God also knew that there would be a congregation serious about outreach, who would be supportive and who would serve with me. So thank you, Dumfries United Methodist Church leadership team, for allowing me to be the first female and the first African-American to pastor the Dumfries United Methodist Church. Thank you all for the hours you volunteer on a weekly basis to support our Bread and Fishes and Security Ministry. By the grace of God, we are now providing food to over 50 families in the Dumfries and surrounding communities. To God be the glory for that. So whether we are providing food on Mondays, every Monday at 5 o'clock, healthcare on Tuesdays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., clothing via Emily's Closet, pastoral care through this community, and even others in Prince William County. Please know that I am extremely thankful for all of your kindness and support. To my son Bryson, who allows me to serve, and my granddaughter without complaining, thank you. To my sister friends who drove all the way here from Maryland, DC, and other parts of Virginia, thank you. To Ms. Dolores, to all of the women in this room, and there's a lot of girl power in this room, from the town council and beyond. Let's continue to empower each other while making a difference in this community. Besides, God created all of us more alike than we are different. Thanks again, Mayor Wood and town council members, for this award. Mayor Wood, you are truly an amazing leader and brother in Christ. And in closing, with the grace of God and with your prayers and support, I will continue to serve this awesome community. God bless everyone.
Wow. Come on, Dumfries United Methodist, y'all stand up and let us see y'all in the place so we can see all the Dumfries United Methodist members that came out to support your pastor. Thank y'all for being here and y'all beautiful spirit. All right, next proclamation is for Procurement Month. Whereas public procurement professionals play a significant role in the efficiency and the effectiveness of both government and business, and whereas in addition to the purchase of good and service, procurement adds value to the organization by performing such functions such as executing, implementing, and administrating contracts, developing strategic procurement strategies, and cultivating working relationship with suppliers and other departments within the organization. And whereas public procurement professionals in the town of Dumfries and other public and private organizations have tremendous influence on economic conditions in the United States, with a cumulative purchasing power running into the billions of dollars. And whereas the procurement division of the finance department in the town of Dumfries is committed to providing high caliber strategic, logistical, and operational support of all the departments in the town of Dumfries. And whereas the town of Dumfries recognize, support, and practice the public procurement values and guiding principles of accountability, ethics, impartiality, professional service, and transparency established by NIGP, the Institute for Public Procurement, as fundamental tenets of the public procurement profession. And whereas NIGP has proclaimed the month of March as Procurement Month to further expand awareness of the purchasing professionals' role to government officials, the general public business, and corporate leaders. Now, therefore, the town of Dumfries Town Council do hereby proclaim the month of March 2024 as Procurement Month and call upon all citizens to join us in this special observance. Signed, Mayor Derek R. Wood, by order of the council. All right, next on our agenda is the consent agenda.
A motion, we approve the consent agenda?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call the question.
Councilmember Peterson,
Aye.
Councilmember Pete,
Yes.
Councilmember Fields,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Miles,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nickerson,
Yes.
Mayor Wood.
Yes.
Motion's passed.
All right. Next on our agenda is the citizen comment period. Madam Clerk, any citizens sign up to speak tonight?
I won't put the list, but I do have one first speaker, Tanisha Watson.
All right. Ms. Watson, the floor is yours. You first out the gate.
Know better. Hey, y'all, hey. I am Tanisha. I am the Chief Excitement Officer of Plan to a T. And my firm has been chosen to plan and manage the 275th Charter Day celebration for the town of Dumfries. I'm excited. I am excited about it. I'm excited about the historical event. I'm excited that my company will be cemented in this historical event. And I'm excited that all of you guys from the town of Dumfries will participate. Now, we have a whole 3-day situation planned and I'm excited about it. So Friday, we will be at the Marine Corps Museum. We will have a gala. So ladies, pull out your heels and your dresses. We are excited about it. Tickets will go on sale shortly. And it will be so many people there, dignitaries and all the things, to include, of course, our mayor and all the things. So I'm excited about that. Jerome, you'll be there. And so the next day, which is the 11th, which is actually the charter day, May 11th is the date. And so we will be right here at Garrison Park. We are planning so many things. They let me loose, y'all, and I don't know why, but we have magicians, bouncy houses, and so many things going on. We've got bands, and we will close the night with fireworks. And again, I am so excited about it. And we will, just leave a few little things for the 12th, which is Mother's Day. Of course, we will still have our farmers market that will happen here, so that won't change. But I just want you guys to know that I look forward to this whole effort. I look forward to seeing all you guys there for all of the festivities. And I also look forward to, we will be having some volunteer opportunities, so stay tuned for that. And again, my name is Tanisha, the Chief Excitement Officer of Plan to a T.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
We have Amber Christopher. I think everybody else is on the list is with the family of Mr. Christopher that
Okay.
did the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
So that concludes.
Was anybody signed up or came and didn't get an opportunity to sign in? Okay, good. All right, moving down to the council comments. All right. Councilwoman Peterson, any comments in there?
I don't have any at this time.
Okay. Councilman Fields, did you have any comments?
Thanks for coming out.
Okay, Vice Mayor, you got any?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any comments this evening.
Okay, Councilman Pete?
Just want to go back once and they already left. Okay, so this was actually for going back to what Vice Mayor was saying in her proclamation of the Churchill Downs. They're not here, but can y'all give them another round of applause, right? And the reason I say this is because when we speak of organizations coming into the town of Dumfries and being real big community partners, I'm talking about from the day one when they hit the ground, they turned themselves into a real big community partners for us. So they're helping us assist and lead the way to opening a brand new recreational center for our community, our children, our seniors, for the homeless, for us to have events and special programs and things like that. So they left, but I do wanted to give them their kudos for doing that again. And with that, Mayor, I yield.
All right, Chair Pro Tem.
No comments from me tonight.
Okay, some comments pretty brief. Good evening, everyone, again. As we step into this new month, I wanted to take a moment to reflect on the incredible journey we had together last month. Last month, our community came together and we celebrated and honored the arts and Black history. There was a success of our Black History program, was a testament to the strength and unity and commitment of our townspeople. I want to applaud all the staff and everybody that had a hand in making that event happen. Kudos. I'm grateful. Yep. Thanks. Your engagement and enthusiasm made this event not just memorable, but also deeply meaningful. And on your way out, if you look at the newspapers downstairs, if there's any copies left, there's pictures in the newspaper from the events, and you'll see some of the dancers from Divine Inspiration in that paper. So kudos to that. As we turn the page on March, we now turn our focus to another critical celebration, Women's History Month. This month, we acknowledge and celebrate the indelible contributions of the women to the development and the success of our town. The role of women in shaping our community, past, present, and future, cannot be overstated. Their achievements, their resilience, and their leadership have been and continue to be a source of inspiration for us all. Let us use this opportunity to honor the legacy and recognize all the remarkable women in the town and who serve the town. Please give a round of applause to all of my colleagues, women who serve here with me. March also brings us to one of my favorite things, Read Across America Week. It's a time where we celebrate the joy of reading and the importance of literacy in our community. Promoting reading is just not about encouraging academic success. It's about opening the doors to new words, ideas, and possibilities. So let us all commit to supporting literacy initiatives and fostering a love of reading amongst our youth and our young people. In our ongoing efforts to enhance communication and service deliverability within our town, I want to highlight our Dumfries Citizen Connect app. All of you got cell phones. It's available for both Android and iPhone users. This app is a valuable resource, all right, for staying informed, for staying engaged with our town's operation. And so if you haven't already done so, I encourage you to download it today. Right, it's a fantastic tool for connecting with our staff, for accessing important town information, getting alerts when the meetings are. If you run into potholes or you see overgrown grass and stuff you don't like, you can report all of that on the app and it can all be able to track. So I encourage you to download it. It's called the Dumfries Citizens Connect app. Looking ahead, we have several exciting events and opportunities for you to continue to engage. This Saturday, I invite y'all out to Potomac High School, March the 9th. They are having a Getting Our Youth Back Day at Potomac High School. It's from noon to 2. I think it promises to be an enriching and a focused event to uplift our young people. So if you have a love for the youth, make preparation to be a part of that event. On March the 22nd, Prince William County Association of Realtors is doing an economic development summit. They invited me to come by to talk about all the vibrant growth and opportunities that are ahead of us here in the town of Dumfries. Lastly, I want to extend a call for volunteers. I think somebody said it earlier, but we got an annual spring cleanup coming up. All right, we're getting ready for our 275, but we do a Quantico Creek cleanup and we do a cleanup day. And so that's April 6th. For those writing your calendars, April 6th, starting at 9 a.m. right here in the parking lot. We're having a spring cleanup. This event is a wonderful way for all of you to help contribute to our town's beauty and sustainability. Your participation will make a significant difference. And lastly, this month's food for thought comes from John Maxwell's book. It's on the law of preparation. And he said, you cannot deliver what you have not developed. Jim Rome expands on the thought by saying, you cannot speak to that which you do not know. You cannot share that which you do not feel. You cannot translate that which you do not have. And you cannot give that which you do not possess. To give it and to share it. And for it to be effective, you first need to have it. Good communication starts with good preparation. Thank y'all once again for your continued support and dedication to our community. Together, all of us are making Dumfries a well-managed government with a thriving downtown and an engaged community. Next on our agenda is reports and presentations. And one of the exciting presentation, I think, is what's going to happen on Route 1 and 234. So we're going to have the project manager, Andy Wagner, to come on up about this Harbor Station community and to share his presentation and what's going on. Everybody sees all that construction. All they see is a billboard sitting up. Now we got the source here to deliver it. Mr. Wagner, the floor is yours.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Wood and council members. Thanks for having me here tonight. First, I just want to say it'll be a lot more exciting for everyone if Tanisha would come up and give the presentation. Maybe next time. So I'm Andy Wagner. I'm the project manager at Potomac Shores. And yes, we're responsible for the dirt and the mess over there, which used to be a junkyard. If you could switch to the next slide, please. I have to follow along on my own to keep on track here. So first of all, it's been a few years since I came in front of the town of Dumfries to give sort of an overview on the project. That was quite a ways before we started moving any dirt. But I'm going to give you a little plan overview on what's ultimately going to happen at that intersection. So ultimately, all the left turns at the intersection of Route 234 and Route 1 will be eliminated. So rather than having left turns, so a car that would be going northbound on Route 1 that wants to turn eastbound on 234 would go straight through the intersection, stay in the right lane, and then go right around the loop road that you see on the right side of the screen, and then take another right onto Potomac Shores and go straight through the intersection of Route 234. And a similar function would occur for other left turns rather than turning left. But before I get into that, if you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a chart that kind of shows you how eliminating left turns improves the flow of traffic and allows more volume to go through an intersection. So on the left, there's a line that shows what happens at a basically, if there's no intersection, you just have what's called a single phase. You just have traffic going in two directions. So 100% of the traffic flows. When there's two phases, so when you have a traffic light where there's a simple intersection and there's no left turns involved, you would have two phases. In other words, the traffic moving north-south gets a green light and it goes. And so in this example, you have a higher volume of traffic on Route 1, it would get 70% of the green light. And the traffic going east-west on 234 would get 30% of the green light. So as you can see, there'd be 30% of the traffic would be stopped. Now, if you turn it into a three-phase, you have now 50% of the traffic moving north and south, 30% of the traffic going east-west, and then 20% of the traffic would be taking a left turn, which is going from northbound to westbound on Route 234. So by eliminating, the current situation is the farthest line on the right, which is an 8-phase situation. So now you have 20% of the traffic taking left turns, 20% north and south to east and west, 20% is taking left turns from east to either south or north, and 30% is going straight through. By straight, I mean they're going onto Stagecoach Road, to or from Stagecoach Road. And then 30% is going straight north or south on Route 1. So by eliminating the left turn phase, you eliminate a lot of the sitting and waiting that's happening right now, either northbound or southbound. Northbound Route 1 to westbound Route 234 would stay to the right, take the connector loop onto a free flow lane, and then go straight, proceeding westbound on 234. Southbound Route 1 to eastbound Potomac Shores Parkway would turn left at the connector loop to the north. Eastbound 234 to northbound Route 1 would continue straight to left at the connector loop, then right on Route 1. Next slide, please. Hope that makes sense. The phase 1 loop is what we're working on right now. So the intersection improvements phase 1 is the portion of the intersection improvement plan that allows the elimination of left turns on Route 1 and Route 234, and is basically what you see in yellow on this exhibit. It's an interim condition, which does not include the connection of the Potomac Shores Parkway extension. Currently, as far as this improvement goes, the utility relocation for all of this is now complete. An early grading plan or an early grading permit was issued by Prince William County to start this work. So if you go to the next slide, please. So state and federal environmental permits were authorized in 2023, and then we had you went one too far. If you could go back one, please. Oh, I'm sorry. I got them in the reverse order as mine. You can leave that up. I'll work around. The Cosner property is what you see right here. This was the prior condition to what you see today. This was about 2,500 junk cars out in their yard. We acquired that property in 2021. As part of the agreement, LKQ was permitted to continue operations on a portion of that property through this year. They found that it really didn't make sense to operate on the smaller part of the property, and they cleared all their cars off last summer, and they are 100% gone at this point. Okay, next slide, please. So what you'll see there today, if you shouldn't go back there, but if you had a drone and you flew over that, this is what you would see. All the easements and right-of-way have been acquired. Most of the utility relocation has been complete for the whole improvement. Everything's done for this particular phase. The loop road, this loop road was started under the early grading permit. There is a billboard currently in the way of connecting one of the storm sewers. And the owner of that billboard, Lamar Advertising, is seeking a zoning amendment so that they can move that billboard and make it a more modern type of billboard. And we've reached a deal with them where we will allow them to put it on our property. It's on VDOT property. And VDOT will not allow a relocation on their property. So to do that, they'll have to bring it back about 100 feet to put it on our property. But they'll need a zoning text amendment from y'all in the next few weeks. So I'm hoping to get support for that because we do need it moved in order to complete the storm sewer system that connects to the Route 1. The final resubmission, in case you're all wondering why this thing's kind of been dragging out a long time, there's been various reasons, but basically it's plan approval. This most recent delay was a floodplain map revision, which is required to be approved by FEMA. That took almost exactly a year to get that approved. It was just approved last week. So at this point, that's probably the last really big hurdle towards plan approval. The county has one more cycle to review the plan, as does the town. And assuming they're all satisfied with everything, then we should have a plan approval here, hopefully in the next 30 days for the full plan. And that'll allow us to complete this connection to Route 1. We have some widening to do on Route 1. We'll be adding some additional, making some modifications to turn signals at the intersection. And hopefully, if all goes well, by the end of the summer, probably September, mid to late September, we'll be able to open this up and have a better flow of traffic out there.
Well, thank you for your comprehensive update and presentation. I just encourage all of those watching, if you really want to understand how this moves, YouTube has a great video. Put in VDOT, Virginia Department of Transportation, quadrant intersection, and it actually has moving parts where you can see how the cars go through the lights without making the left turn and how it flows. And I know our officers will be excited about this because it's probably the one that the council get the most emails about, that intersection, from people running that light, trying to make a left turn, right? And if you come off of that 95 on a busy day, the left lane is all the way back to almost 95. Yeah. And then down here, the left turn lane is all the way down by Harold and Kathy's almost some of the times. And so eliminating that left turn, I think, is going to release a lot of stress for all of us. And so if you want to see that presentation moving, look at on YouTube, VDOT quadrant intersection.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. I guess my explanation of the movements is probably not easy to follow, so I apologize. It's hard to explain, but when you see it work in real life, you'll be like, wow, this is great.
Yeah. All right, Councilman Fields.
Any questions or?
Yes, great presentation.
Thank you.
I do recall the last time you were here, or maybe before then, I probably was one of the ones that give you a hard time. And rightfully so, because I was worried about our businesses in the area down there and everything. LKQ did gracefully close. I gave them a proclamation for their service to the community, even though it was eyesore. They did implore a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It is great to see this improvement, and it's great to have something to go back and relate to, because every project we have in the town that's big and coming, what's the first thing that people say? Traffic. What about traffic? Some of you know and some of you don't know, I was a former police officer in this town before I came on the council. Did I not write a whole bunch of tickets and accidents at that intersection? Yes, I did. So thank me for that, yes. But this will eliminate that. This will eliminate that bit of what people always talk about is traffic. It will eliminate the people running the lights and there's several accidents and speeding, which a big problem at the intersection. So I thank you for finally getting this project moving forward. We got something to look forward to. We got something to relate to when we start telling our citizens that ask that question, what about traffic? So I'm glad to see it. I'm glad you're taking care of our businesses in the area down there, and they'll be, at priority. Thank you.
Thank you. I should also mention with that remainder of the LKQ operation, the Cosner property, we will redevelop that. There's about 13 acres of land that'll be eventually redeveloped into some mixed use type of retail and possibly residential. So we'll be coming back for zoning changes.
Vice Mayor.
Hi, I have a couple questions. Tell me where you are or what the plans are for Old Stagecoach Road. I also want to know, when I look at this slide here, which used to be here, this right here is a neighborhood. And at one point, there was talk about whether or not, when this was gone and it becomes a road, whether or not there were any plans for this road to come into this neighborhood. So I want to know honestly whether or not that is a conversation that's being had.
Okay.
So right now we're up to 2 questions.
Okay.
Whether or not a road is coming into this neighborhood,
Right.
doing with Old Stagecoach Road, and also speak to us about, because one time when you stood here, you talked to us about service roads on 234.
Okay.
That's still a part of the plans. So talk to us about that as well, because I know that service roads impact the businesses
Mhm.
on 234. So I want to know where we are with that, if that's still the plan and what that looks like.
Yeah.
3 questions. Thank you.
Okay. So first, Old Stagecoach Road has to be ended. It has to be, there's what we call a hammerhead, will be a hammerhead at the end of that. It will no longer be able to connect at that intersection. It's just not possible to have 5 roads come together at a major intersection and function. So Stagecoach comes to an end there now. Eventually, when we redevelop that property, we haven't laid this out yet. We've got maybe a couple exhibits on how we might do it. But eventually Stagecoach will connect to Potomac Shores Parkway where the Panhandle connects, forming an intersection at that point. So the termination of Stagecoach, if you will, is a temporary condition, but it's absolutely necessary. The next question, the connection to that neighborhood, there's no way we have no intention of doing that. I don't even think we'd be able to do that. And it wouldn't make sense really to do it, to push traffic through a residential neighborhood that would ultimately connect to Potomac Shores. I don't think anyone would want that.
No one wants that. No one wants it. I want to make sure.
Okay, we wouldn't attempt it
Okay,
because
good.
we know we'd never achieve it, nor would we want to, because we can put a road, like I mentioned, we do plan to take Stagecoach through our property when we redevelop it and connect that to Potomac Shores Parkway.
Okay.
So that'll be the road that provides access to the remainder of the Cosner property and a connection for anyone who wants to use Stagecoach to get through to Potomac Shores or circumvent Route 1 for whatever reason, ultimately. As far as the service road along the businesses on 234, that's also something that has to happen. That's not because we want to do it. That's because VDOT is making us do it. And that has to do with the fact that will be in the next 10 years so much volume, and already is honestly too much volume to allow people to make left turns across 234 into those businesses. And I think your former law enforcement council member knows that that's a main point of where most of the accidents occur now, is people trying to cut in front of traffic to take a left into, Taco Bell and those those establishments. So it's really a dangerous situation. And whether we do it or VDOT, it's gonna get closed off.
So going back to Stagecoach Road, there are businesses on Stagecoach Road. There's the Boys and Girls Club, for instance, on Stagecoach Road. There are also some other businesses there. So as folks are getting to and from those businesses, if they can no longer come out to what is now 234 and they have to come back out then further south on Route 1, there's no light there, and they have to make a left to go down further south on Route 1. Are you all responsible then for getting a light there or something? Because what happens there, because what I'm hearing then is you're moving the danger from north of Route 1 and then just pushing, like kicking the can. And so now the danger for making a left up there is now just being moved further south. So now the danger of the left turn is in front of what is now the veterinary hospital to make a left to go south on Route 1.
To answer the question, no, we're not responsible to put a light there. But I would also say that folks who are leaving those businesses could more safely or easily take a right turn onto Route 1 and then make a U-turn. If it was the existing condition, make a U-turn at that intersection and go south on Route 1. Or once our loop road is finished, they can come around the loop road or they can go around the loop road and go back south on Route 1.
So come out of Stagecoach, make a right.
Make a right on Potomac Shores Parkway.
Make a right on Route 1, because Stagecoach would be
Right,
blocked.
make a right on Route 1,
Oh.
then a right on Potomac Shores Parkway or the
Or half a mile up the
234.
road to then
Yeah,
come back down.
that would be, it is a little longer, but
A lot longer. Gas is expensive. Yeah,
yeah.
okay, just ask.
Sorry,
Thank you.
that's where the design is. And, as we don't just have infinite amounts of money to keep going and going and going. So at some point, somebody has to say, okay, this is where
I understand.
the project ends. And so it wasn't really something that necessarily is our decision, but, VDOT looks at the traffic analysis that our traffic engineer does and says that this is okay. So if they felt like that was a problem at that intersection, they would force us to do something about it. But at this point,
Thank you.
that's not the case.
Well, thank you for your detailed explanation.
Okay.
We appreciate you coming in, just bringing us an update. We know this is a essential part of the project and us also getting the roads open. So
Yeah.
we want to
Thanks.
make sure that we know that.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
me.
All right, next on our agenda is requests from funding for nonprofits. All right, and it's a lot of y'all. Please keep it to 5, no more than 10 minutes, please, with your presentations. Yes. Oh, we did update the agenda. Sorry. I'm looking on the tablets and I ain't put it on the tablet. Let me go to my paper. All right, so next on the agenda is the update to the budget calendar presentation by Chief Financial Officer Stacy Jordan. Let me use the paper.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. Going to review the budget calendar for the remainder of the fiscal year so that we can implement our fiscal year 24-25 or adopt our 25-26, excuse me. No, yeah, that's right, 24-25, excuse me, fiscal year budget. Let's see, is this working? Yep. So today is March 5th. We are doing our request for funding from our nonprofit organizations. The 8th, we are going to be doing our 2-and-2s with council, the town manager, CFO, as well as our senior accountant. March 11th and 12th will be our community budget meetings. March 19th will be the proposed budget presentation, our first read. April 2nd will be our finalized budget presentation, the second read, and our notice to the newspaper for the budget public hearing. And April 16th will be the adoption of the fiscal year 24-25 budget. Any questions?
Did you put any contingency dates if we needed another discussion on it, or?
We can adjust the calendar as needed. We don't have to, as long as we get the calendar adopted before the beginning of the fiscal year, but this is a contingent schedule. But if we need to adjust it, we absolutely can.
Okay. Council? All right, well, thank you for your budget presentation. Your budget calendar presentation, excuse me. Next presentation is a request of funding from the nonprofits. The first one, Future Kings, Dr. Eric Klink. You're gonna, okay, so
Yes.
I'll let you introduce all these now.
I'm gonna try to do this as smoothly as possible. We got a lot of presentation. I know you guys received a lot of information from our nonprofit organization.
They all come sit over here, it'd probably be quick for them too, right there close to the.
So we are going to have Future Kings come first, followed by Historic Dumfries. NRVC could not be in attendance today, so I will be presenting on their behalf. Slave Cemetery is fourth, and then Boys and Girls Club will be fifth. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read their request form and then have them come up and speak to the council, if that's okay. Okay, so Future Kings request is for $10,000. Their request from last year was $10,000, and it's to use education, mentoring, training, practical experiences, and mastery of 21st century technology in order to create a pipeline of young men from underserved communities who excel in STEM-related careers and positively influence their communities. Expected use of funds. We will use the funds to help provide STEM-based training to residents in secondary schools. We currently have at least 8 town residents who are regular participants in the program. Now we'll turn it over to Future Kings.
And thank you for allowing me to come. And just to make sure they don't go too far over, I'm going to set my timer here, make sure I stay on track.
All right, thank you.
And for council members, thank you again, like I said, and what I'd like to do is introduce Future Kings to you in the hopes that you will consider us as a key partner in your outreach to town youth for the purpose of workforce development. And what I'm going to focus on is primarily what we believe is a benefit of collaborating with us. So if you can ensure that every adolescent graduated from high school with their skills to enter a lucrative career in a STEM field, would you want to do it? So now, if you could partner with an organization that is moving young people of color from poverty to prosperity, if you could advance equity by training thousands of students of color to enter high-paying if you could contribute social and economic value through disrupting school to prison pipeline, would you want to do that? And I think the answer to all that is yes, you would. So our mission of Future Kings is to mentor, educate, and train young men of color in 21st century technology to create a pipeline of African-American, Hispanic young men in underserved communities who excel in STEM careers and positively influence their communities. We've been a nonprofit since 2014. We began operation in 2010. We've serviced a number of the youth from the town of Dumfries as part of our program. So the reason we need to make a change is because there is a significant problem. You can look at those 8 demographic groups, meaning Black boys and girls, Hispanic boys and girls, Asian boys and girls, and white boys and girls. And you can see that the lowest graduation rate for those groups happens to be Black boys. And then on the other graph, you'll see that of the inmates that are in prison, 67% of those are high school dropouts. So there's an economic impact to being able to keep these young men in school and have them graduate successfully. So I'm going to quickly run through Future Kings past, our present, and our future. So looking at our past, we have 100% graduation rate for boys who are in Future Kings. Of those, 92% of the graduates from Future Kings go on to college. Of those, we have 96% of Future Kings participants that recommend Future Kings to their friends, and 100% of the boys who graduate our program are interested in STEM career. And then we can back this, and then now we can look at maybe some of the economic impacts. When we look at the value-backed outcomes and research, then we can see that our program can help reduce the unemployment rate and the incarceration rate. And we can also see that our program can help increase participation of minority high school graduates, them entering STEM graduate careers, et cetera, et cetera. And on the economic side, we've found that there is a 2-to-1 multiple. So for every dollar that is invested in Future Kings, you actually double that in return. So that is historical information. But this is just another way of saying the same thing, that are for opportunities being created for the opportunities that are being created, the opportunities creation, graduation creates a number of economic opportunities for them. Okay, I got you. And also, we can make a significant difference in the workforce development outreach that the town is employing. But even more than that, just the reduction in costs for incarceration. It looks like about $215,000 per inmate per year is what it costs. And you can save that by reducing incarceration rates. By the same way with unemployment, that the average salary for someone who's gone through a STEM career is about $22,000 a year higher. So you basically will increase the income for the county, for the town, by having the people, having these young men go through the problem.
And if you could just go to the collaboration and kind of bring it to a close for us, please. There you go.
So here's the future. We want to collaborate with the town of Dumfries to close both the diversity gap and the opportunity gap. And we want to use STEM for that by bringing STEM training. The Future Kings is training in cybersecurity, computer game design, biomedical sciences, and drone engineering. And we're teaching these guys college-level skills at their college-level skills, even though they're still in secondary school. So when they graduate from high school, they're ready to go directly into employment with college level training. Close the gap through college level training, like I just said, cybersecurity training, through engineering, but even more than that, they can gain adult credentials in those fields. So adult credential in cybersecurity, in engineering, in game design, get a 107 license. All those are things that graduates in the program can get, and we'd like to be able to collaborate more closely with the town on bringing this outreach to all the young men in the county.
Okay, we got a couple of questions, Chair Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to commend you for the work you're doing with these young men. What you said was key because a lot of times we don't look at the numbers we're paying $215,000 a year to house inmates. You can get a degree from Yale for less than that, and I'd rather they be at Yale than in the penitentiary somewhere. I do want to ask you a couple questions concerning the ages that you zone in on. Is it mostly high school? Things, or do you start in middle school? How do you?
Middle school and high school.
Okay.
In a perfect world, they come to us sixth graders, and they stay with us until they graduate.
Okay.
And that pattern is repeated often.
Okay. Additionally, I know that Grand Park has a STEM program there. Is there any partnership between you and Prince William County Schools and Grand Park in particular?
We have conducted classes at Grand Park, and for different reasons involving transportation and after-school activities, we had to stop.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, but we'll do our part. Thank you again for coming out.
All right, thank you for your presentation. And I watched the program grow out of Grand Park and have come to a lot of your galas and seen the affair at Nova, Northern Virginia Community College, of how they work with these robots and how they do computer gaming and how engaged these young men are and how respectful. So I appreciate the work that you're doing with this STEM program. Okay, Chair Pro Tem, Dave Brown.
My apologies. So do you accept applications into the program? How does one get their student involved or their child involved in?
We accept students year round.
Okay, so you're around at any time?
Year round, anytime, and when we just blend them in.
Okay. And so you just go online to the website?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Ms. Jordan.
Okay, next we have Historic Dumfries. Their mission is to preserve and promote the historic heritage of Dumfries. Their request for last year was 23. Their request for this year is 23,000. They expect to use the funds to continue maintenance of the Merchant Park, landscaping, upkeep of the structure, in addition to the restoration and preservation of the Wims Box Historic House as part of their franchise agreement with the town of Dumfries. Okay, Abigail?
Hello, thank you so much for having me again. During our off season of last fall and winter, we started focusing on new fundraising ventures and improving accessibility within our community to ensure that everyone feels welcomed in our facilities, such as re-implementing our walk-in tours, obtaining a donation of a little free library to place in Merchant Park. Hopefully that will be going in the next couple of weeks. And joining the Museums for All initiative to ensure that the price of admission is not a barrier to learn about the town's history. In recognizing the potential of our position as a versatile local history museum, we've begun offering field trips at no cost to Dumfries schools. He's not here, but thank you to Councilman Brown for helping us set up for a Grand Park field trip last December. We caught him while he was walking his dog in the park, and he helped set up a tent with us. Our organization suffered a great loss last November with the passing of our board president, Brett Coulson, and in a reassessment of our immediate priorities, we aim to expand our board membership and hope to involve more Dumfries families with our board oversight and work closely with the town and county in preparing for this summer's historic events. We are anticipating a very successful and historic Charter Day this coming May. We will also be having events on May 11th at Merchant Park. We've been working with Tanisha and the town to add some more just to commemorate this historic event, as we are the oldest chartered town in Virginia. But as for prior to May, we certainly are going to be doing some more work and preparing the park, especially I know Jeremiah and I have been out there, and we will continue to be. There's just some small things that just need to be patched up in the park. But other than that,
Well, thank you for your presentation, Chair Pro Tem.
Thank you for coming out and presenting for us. I did have a couple of questions as I went through your presentation. I noticed that the revenue for renting out the park, it seemed a little low. I don't know whether I misunderstood something, but it says like you only brought in $1,000 from rent out of the.
that might have just been from, where did you see that?
It was in your revenue stream in your budget. Budget versus actual.
Oh, that might have just been from the quarter, although.
Okay, because I was just wondering, because I know it's about $500. So if you only rent it out twice a year.
Yeah, I believe we rented it out about 8 or 9 times last summer. It's about $250 with the park member or with the museum membership. Most people opt for that anyway.
Okay, all right. I was just wondering, it just looked a little off, but that's all I needed. Thank you.
Councilman P.
Without the park, without the membership, what is the expenses for utilizing the park?
Without the membership, what? Sorry.
Without the membership, how much does it cost to rent out that park?
It's $500 for the day, but with the membership, it's $250.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Vice Mayor.
If that's a public park, why does it cost people to rent it out?
I believe that was just something that we have been doing for a while, as to rent it out for private events. I was under the impression that the other parks in town were able to be rented out too, although I'm not entirely sure. It has been brought to my attention, that the price is a bit high. I've been talking with the board about it a little bit, but
I think the price is absurd. And I do not agree with any public park charging people to rent it out. I understand, I grew up in Brooklyn. And when we rented the park, we would rent the gazebo and we would pay a fee because we would use the electricity if we were plugging in like our boombox, or a cleanup fee because we would use the grill. And we may leave behind some stuff, but we'd get back a deposit if we cleaned up behind ourselves. But we don't pay to use a public park when we pay taxes. That seems a bit absurd to me. I think that's a discussion that should be had with the board. And I will look into further conversation with the town manager and town attorney to see whether or not that's legit, because that doesn't seem right to me. And I don't agree with it.
certainly, yeah, I'll bring it up to them. I think initially it was as part of fundraising for us, but then also just for renting out a public park and essentially having like a private event. But
so what comes with that? If someone is renting the park, what are they getting for $500?
Well, then the park is theirs for the day, essentially. It's like a private rental, and then we also, yeah.
Does it come with staff to help with the event?
It does not, no.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I guess, town manager, town attorney, if you want to bring back our park use, we do have signs in our parks that say for groups that they have to rent. It's a policy I think we adopted in 2013 or 14. It's a park use policy that says we do charge for group events in all our parks. So if you want to bring that policy back up, so that we don't charge any groups, let's bring it back.
There you
All right, Councilman Pete.
go. You want to go first? Okay, one more question. With the, when you rent the park, you can get the park for a full day, right?
Yes.
I know this language because I previously inquired about this language, and at that time, I thought this was pretty high. So we declined to go elsewhere. Does that include the kitchen also?
The kitchen is,
That an additional cost?
it's an additional $100.
Okay. All right, thank you much.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Jordan.
Okay, next we have Northern Virginia Regional Commission. Mr. Lazaro could not be in attendance tonight. However, I'm going to do an overview on his behalf. And his email address as well as phone number is listed on the budget request form in case you have any additional questions on the information that he presented, okay? So Northern Regional Commission has requested $6,600 for 25. The request from 24 was $6,372. NVRC is an official planning district of Northern Virginia. According to the Virginia Regional Cooperation Act, NVRC is political subdivision within the Commonwealth. NVRC chief roles and functions have focused on providing information, performing professional and technical services for its members, and serving as a mechanism for regional coordination. A slight increase approved for Northern Virginia Regional Solid Waste Management Board. That's where the increase is coming from, to continue to carry out programs and enhance quality of life, the residents of the town of Dumfries and region as a whole. So some of the programs that NVRC offers are human services, information and analysis, international partnerships, environmental resiliency services, military partnerships, energy, climate change, solid waste, as well as trails. And there's a short presentation as Evan also has, as well as a longer presentation that you guys have as well. And again, Mr. Lazaro was sorry he could not be in attendance tonight, but he does have his information, his phone number, and his email address for further questions that you might have.
And our sitting member had a family emergency. Mr. Brown isn't here, and I know Councilman Chapman is the chair of that board. Any questions for our Chief Financial Officer on that? If not, we'll go to the next one.
Okay, and next we have the Friends of Dumfries Slave Cemetery. And they are requesting $1,000. Their request last year was $1,000 to preserve, maintain, and restore the slave cemetery located in the town of Dumfries. Includes the graves, burial grounds, and burial plots. To promote and improve awareness to the history and care of Dumfries Slave Cemetery. To preserve and promote the memory of persons interred with the slave cemetery. To promote education and awareness to historical African-American played in the town of Dumfries and surrounding areas. Ms. Norma?
Thank you for Ms. Norma for bringing brief remarks to us. We know how passionate you are about this slave cemetery.
I get it. Good evening. Thank you so much for having us come out tonight. And I want to thank Mayor Wood and the town council and the town of Dumfries for supporting our efforts at the Dumfries Slave Cemetery. As we celebrate the 275th anniversary of Dumfries, I think we should place our memory on the fact that the economic basis for Dumfries was based on the unrequited labor of Africans stolen from their homeland, brought across a tremendous ocean. Many of them died along the way. And from African Americans born here on this native land. Another part of the economic basis for the town of Dumfries was built upon the trade in African and African American flesh. When slaves were freed here in 1865, they received no reparations, nothing. They didn't even ask for reparations, if you want to know. There's so much talk about reparations today, but what our slave ancestors asked for was land, which they intended to pay back. Just land. Because they needed something, they had to have something. And now we have an opportunity to make their memory known by honoring, preserving, promoting, beautifying the slave cemetery that we have here. And in my opinion, the town of Dumfries owes this to them. I hope you feel the same way. Thank you.
Ms. Norma, I have a question. Don't leave. Thank you. Yes.
Yes.
I just want to ask, ultimately, what is the vision and the goal?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, we want to, what we're looking for right now, short-term goal is to build a fence around our slave cemetery. An elegant fence, one that is reminiscent of the 19th century, to give it the beauty and the what do I want to say? The emphasis of the time, the period, to make the period known. And when our children come up to see it, they can see what a fence in the 19th century, a nice fence in the 19th century would look like. And we want them to see that. And we want our ancestors to see that from above, that finally they are getting the dignity in death that they were denied in life. We want them to get that. We want them to have that. And we want our children here to know the worth, the magnitude, the elegance, the beauty of their ancestry, their heritage. This earth that we live on, the civilization, the oldest civilization on the earth that we live on is the Black civilization, our African civilization. And we have made tremendous contributions to this civilization, just as our ancestors made tremendous contributions to Dumfries. We want our children to realize that, and we also want them to realize that they owe the ancestors for all that they've been through. We owe them. We owe them. And we can pay that by making our lives on this earth worthy of their sacrifices. Thank you, Mayor.
Last question.
Okay.
Who owns the land and that the fences? These are good, because I got people.
These are very good questions. Okay, the school board. The school board owns the land, and we have permission to go in there to clean it up and fix it up. And we have been doing that over a few years now. And it looks so much. I mean, it was really a dump, but it's no longer a dump. It's a beautiful place now, and we want to make it even more beautiful. So we thank you for that.
And have you got a quote on what it'll cost to build that fence? Because I've had business owners and people that wanted to contribute to that. And they just want to know what's the total cost in today's dollars to build this fence.
Oh, I love this man. Yes, yes. We want to build a fence. And we know that it's going to cost us about $50,000 in materials, but we are going to build that fence. We will build it with unrequited labor as our ancestors did. We will build it with our hands as they did. What we need is the money to buy the materials to build that fence. And it's going to cost around $50,000 just to buy the materials, but we are going to do the labor. It's going to be our labor, our gift to our ancestors.
Thank you. I have no further questions. Thank you for your heart. I think you said it all. You got some of us almost in tears in here. Do we need a recess? Are y'all good?
Thank you. Thank you.
You're good? We're going? We got one more presentation from the, okay, we're gonna now have Stacey, Dr. Come on. Okay, Dr. Jordan.
All right, now last but not least is the Boys and Girls Club. And their request from last year was 15,000. Their request for this year is 20,000. Their mission is to help boys and girls of all backgrounds, especially those who need the most, build confidence, develop character, and acquire the skills needed to become productive, civil-minded, responsible adults. The Heiser Club is continuing to increase their average daily attendance. Year over year, they have seen growth in their membership numbers. With the increase of members, they have had to increase staffing to accommodate appropriate ratios. The club will ensure that the majority of the funding will go to support the town of Dumfries families. The support will include waiving membership dues and involvement in the sports leagues for discounted rate. It will also include activities to support core programming and enhance after-school learning. A third of the requested funding will go to support building maintenance to ensure the club is operating at optimal level. All right.
Good evening. Thank you, council members and Mayor Wood for inviting us out. I am not alone today. I want to recognize a few of our all-stars for Prince William County. Today, I want to introduce Dr. Simon King, if you could stand, please. He is our newly appointed area director for Prince William County, directly overseeing our Heiser Club. We spoke a little bit about growth, and of course, we have to bring in a person to manage that growth. So he's been instrumental. Of course, I have Judy Moore, who is the Heiser Boys and Girls Club branch director, has been there for the last, Judy, 20 years. Really grateful for the service that she has had for our members throughout the years. And of course, I want to introduce Jerome Johnson, who is our current board chair for the Prince William County Region Boys and Girls Club Board of Directors. And we're really thankful. I do want to introduce the most important people from the Boys and Girls Club that are here today. I have Miss Agnes here, who's been, Agnes, that has been a proud member for 9 years at the Heiser Club. And she is joined with Savion and Mecca, who are also club members, and you're going to hear from them in just a minute. And I'm going to be really brief because this was a 15-minute presentation and we're going to make it in 5. We got this. So I just want to do this really quickly. Our mission, that we're an organization, we've been around for 150 years. And our mission is to help Boys and Girls Club of all backgrounds, especially those who need us the most, build confidence, develop character, acquire the skills needed to become productive, civic-minded, responsible adults. You will see this throughout the programming that we have at our clubs that I'll share with you. Next slide, please. Where's this me? Am I doing my slide? Oh, okay, we got this. All right. Everywhere embedded in our programming is our 5 key elements. We ensure that we have these in every the program that we have within our organization. It's to make sure that we create a safe, positive environment. We incorporate fun into the activities, regardless if it's soccer, basketball, or homework. We're making sure that we have the fun aspect in all of our areas of programming. Supporting relationships, mentorship is really huge in our organization. So we make sure that those mentorship and the relationships that their staff are having, along with our volunteers, are very meaningful. We also want to make sure we provide opportunities for our youth past our club walls, whether it's secondary education, military, trade school, whatever that may be for the young person. And of course, offering recognition to our youth with our Youth of the Month programs and other platforms that we allow our kids to be part of. This is our formula for impact. What we're doing is we're making sure that we have the youth that need us the most. We're going to pair them with our 5 key elements that I just spoke of, along with high yield activities. These are high yield learning activities. We want to incorporate learning into every activity that we're doing. Our targeted programs, which I'll take you through in just a little minute, and of course, regular attendance. We say that if a member attends the club more than at least 3 times a week, they're more likely to engage in safer behaviors and really take into account the programming that we do at our clubs. And of course, what we wanted to have from all of this hard work is making sure that our youth are graduating from high school, having great academic success, becoming good character and have good character and leadership and citizenship, and then also healthy lifestyles. And this could be physical, mental, that we want them to be well-rounded. Let's see. What we do well, just a quick synopsis, our 5 key areas are education, leadership and service, arts, health and wellness, and sports and recreation. We want to make sure that our kids are incorporated in all types of learning. We rely heavily on volunteers within the organization, not only within our organization, but outside as well, partnering with organizations and companies that bring in volunteers that can expose our youth to various roles. Targeted programs, really quickly, career launch prepares teens for national workforce, diplomas to degrees, college readiness program. We have Smart Moves, which helps young people build the social emotional skills to make healthy decisions and avoid risky behaviors. We have Money Matters as well, that teaches our kids financial responsibility. We have a Youth of the Year, which is a role model, leader, and advocate for over 3.6 million youth served by the Boys and Girls Club each year and all of America's young people. We're really proud to announce that the last year we had a Youth of the Year finalist from our organization, from our Jelliff branch in DC, that went all the way to the top and was the representative for or last year. This year, we had another representative from our Murray Gate Club in Fairfax go all the way to the national stage as well and come back with number 2. So we're really proud of the work that we're doing within our organization and ensuring that our teens and our young people really get those major opportunities. STEM, advanced STEM knowledge and increase interest in STEM. Triple Play, improve the overall health of members by increasing their daily physical activity. And of course, Power Hour, which is our increased academic success to better prepare youth to enter workforce. Essentially, it's our homework help program that we have at our clubs. And this last slide, I really wanted to share. I know Mayor Wood had asked me to just speak about the impact of the funding that to Heiser Club. So if you look year over year, looking at 2020, right during COVID, we were pretty much at 93 members. Looking forward to 2023, we closed out at 370 members. So as you can see, the growth has continued. We've been really proud this year and last year to start getting onto our pre-COVID numbers with promoting and working with the local schools. Judy has done a great job with outreach as well to ensure that our families know that we're there. We are tucked away. I was a little afraid when we had the conversation about Old Stagecoach shutting down. So thank you, Vice Mayor, for bringing up that question about how will we access the club? Because we do have schools that currently schools drop off with buses, and that would be difficult for the buses to be able to move in and out of that situation. So as you can see, military families, we do not charge our military families. We have a military youth outreach program that we partner with our parent organization, which provides us funding to do additional support and support for our military youth, considering that we understand that military families relocate a lot, so we want to make sure that the youth have consistent programming with the Boys and Girls Club. And of course, the free and reduced lunch in the single parent household, you can see that as well. So what we offer, Prince William County is a little bit of a different model than most Boys and Girls Club, where we do have a licensed childcare program. We do volleyball and basketball sports leagues within Prince William County. I believe we have 200 youth that are in the program currently. If you ever have the ability to come to one of our clubs on a Saturday, there is not any parking spaces left, me included. My daughter also attends the Manassas Boys and Girls Club. So it's a great place for our youth to be able to play a sport on the weekends. And then also we partnership with Anthem Health and United Health to ensure that there's no membership fee for them as well. So listed to the right, I won't read them out, but those are the schools we service. But what we continuously need, if anybody has been to the Heiser Boys and Girls Club, we know that it is an older building and it does need a lot of capital improvements. The board of directors are currently working with community partners so they can come in and maybe do some beautification. We recently partnered with Keep Prince William County Beautiful and Habitat for Humanity, where we're able to come in and do some renovation projects for us. But still, it does need a lot of work. So we do need contacts, anybody who's willing to come in and do in-kind donations and things like that. We would be really appreciative of that. Visibility, we are tucked away on Old Stagecoach Road, signage. Well, now I don't know where that road's going to go, but wherever that new road's going to be, we want a big sign that says Boys and Girls Club this way, because we definitely want to make sure that folks know that we're back here. We run into residents who have been living in the town of Dumfries for 10, 20 years, and they don't even know we're back there. So we do need to do a better job of that. Busing support, we don't have a lot of county buses and that come back there. So we do have our mini buses that transport kids back and forth from their schools, but we would be able to support a lot more kids with busing. And of course, as I mentioned before, volunteers is something huge that we would love to have come in and to support our youth. Just really quickly, the actual cost to support a child in the Boys and Girls Club for Heiser is $1,200. Our membership fee is $50 for the whole year. We do not turn children away for the $50 a year if they cannot afford it. So we make sure that they are able to come if they need our resources. And that is it for me, but I do want to quickly give some time for Agnes to speak, if you could. I just wanted you to quickly talk about You're.
I appreciate the Boys and Girls Club tremendously. They are a major, okay, they are a big support system for my family. So I do appreciate them and I rely on you guys. Miss Judy, thank you so much. Both of my grandchildren attend. My oldest one has been going since he was his brother's age at 5. And it's a safe place and I feel at ease when they're there. So please support us.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you again for your time. I will take any questions if you had any.
Okay, any questions? All right.
Okay, thank you again.
Thank you. Oh, wait, Councilman P has.
How you doing? Great presentation. Thank you. I like it. You know, I've had several kids. Ms. Judy, we've spoke with this before. I know Jerome, the mayor. My question is always, how many children from this town of Dumfries go to the Boys and Girls Club?
Strictly.
The number that I had last time when Miss Moore presented the update at the Boys and Girls Club was that the max cutoff was at 300. I see the numbers here from 363 of last year, moving up to 370 to this year. And I still haven't really gotten either close to that answer or the answer of how many children from the town of Dumfries go to the Boys and Girls Club. I've been asking this question for over about 5-6 years now.
We need to get you the answer.
I was asking this question for about 5-6 years now. And, you know, I heard in your presentation, you state that, you know, the military, they don't pay anything. I was looking somewhere within your presentation to where the town of Dumfries children didn't pay anything. I said I was looking for that in the presentation. You know, that is something that is key to the success of the children within our town of Dumfries, that our parents are able to go to the visuals of presentation and to be able to see that the Boys and Girls Club support our children at no cost. You know, the military was highlighted. I like that. I was a former military soldier myself, but I would like for some language to be stated to where our parents and citizens can go and see that the Boys and Girls Club in the town of Dumfries support them and that they can join the Boys and Girls Club for free.
Absolutely. And I actually did, and I'm not with internet right now, otherwise I could provide you the report that we had submitted with the, for the funding amount. I think we did attach the invoice on there that did say the amount. So I can get you that. I'm just not attached to Wi-Fi. As soon as I get that, I can get you that number for sure.
Oh, that'll be excellent, because I wasn't too happy when I seen that, you know, you needed more money for the staff to accommodate the appropriate ratio. I really don't care about that part. All I care about is our children having provided recreational from this town, which we give you guys a nice funding for that. And I would like to know, do our children go to the Boys and Girls Club? I said, I've been asking this question for Ms. Judy. This is not new to you. I've been asking this question for many years. Do our children from the town of Dumfries go to the Boys and Girls Club for free? Because as I go ride by there and sometimes often stop by there, I see a lot of children that I know that are outside of the town of Dumfries. No, nothing against them. I love them all. You know, I love all children. But my focal concern is the children right here within our town of Dumfries. Because again, we went over this before. As the Boys and Girls Club was supposed to max out at 300. I made the statement of, while that's maxed out at 300, I'm in the town of Dumfries town community area, and I'm watching another 300 to 400 children that don't have anywhere to go, that are just playing and finding things that we couldn't imagine to do for recreational. So that's a big concern for me. This council knows this, Miss Judy knows this, now you know this, the town knows this. I am big in wanting to know what do we provide? I know it's provided, but how many children from our town of Dumfries go to the Boys and Girls Club for free?
I think that's a great question, and we will certainly include this in any future presentations that we have. And before the end of the night, I'll make sure that you and the council members have that number as well. Because I do understand that it's important, considering the funding is going to the town of Dumfries. You want to ensure that those dollars are being met responsibly. And we want to do the same thing, be good stewards of the money that you guys are giving to the town of Dumfries. And although we are servicing Prince William County kids, we want to make sure that we're also giving you the numbers that you all need to, justify the funding that you're giving the club. So we will make sure that you have that before the end of the night, and I'll make sure everyone gets that as well.
That's perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Oh, sure. Thank you, Mayor. I have a quick question about the transportation. One of the concerns that we've had, and we've all actually have tried to work with the club and the school board to help mitigate the issue of transportation. Because where you all are located and where we are most densely populated in the southern end of the town, there has been issues with the school buses, the Prince William County school buses. My understanding was that all of the buses were not dropping the kids from the schools to you all. Is that still an issue, or has that been rectified? Because when we tried to interject and get the school board involved, we ran into some roadblocks. I've tried to work with Miss Judy to meet to see if we can work that out, and that was unsuccessful. So where are you with that? Is that still a challenge?
In terms of this, which schools are coming to the clubs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is still a challenge. So the schools, the county buses that do come to the school currently are from Potomac Shores, from Swans Creek, and Potomac High, and Porter Traditional School. The town of the Dumfries Elementary School does not come to our club, and Graham Park, does not come to the club. We provide transportation from those two schools on our minibuses, but we have limited space on those buses. This is something, I've talked to the principals at the schools, I've talked to school board members, and then also to some of the supervisors within the Prince William County.
Okay.
But it's a transportation issue, and it's their policy. So that's, and they've said they cannot deviate from their route. We are in the zone for the schools that come to our club, and they won't deviate, if we're not in the Dumfries Elementary School zone, which we had been previously. And so now we get from Swans Creek Elementary. We were also in Potomac Middle, and we got a good number of kids from Potomac Middle. But when Potomac Shores opened and they rezoned, now we're in Potomac Shores.
Yeah, that makes, so I understand that being an issue. I understand it being a zoning issue. And I understand that when the zoning changed, that changed. That's the first time I'm hearing that it's because of the zoning. And I do know that at one point, because of the way the zoning was done, you all may have been within the zone, but then there was a change. And I know that I have tried to meet with you several times so that we could sit down and try and figure something out, but that was unsuccessful. So I'm glad to hear now that that's what the issue was. And we as a council have also tried to work with the school board. We've reached out to the school board to try and work with our local school board member, our designated school board member, to try to reach a resolution. Because to Councilman Pete's point, where he's asking how many members or how many residents from the town of Dumfries are going to or participating at support the Boys and Girls Club. And the reason that that's so important to us is because if we are putting forth the money to help fund the Boys and Girls Club, we want to know then that the money that we are putting forth to help fund is going for our students and our children to use. But if the issue is that our children aren't able, the club isn't accessible to them, which is the problem because you all don't have the buses to get there, et cetera, then we have to make sure then that if we're going to be providing funding, then that the funding is going towards specifically the buses then to get them there, because we want to ensure that the funding that we're allocating is going for those children, because we want the club to be accessible. Otherwise, we're funding the club for Potomac Shores residents to go to the Boys and Girls Club. And just being transparent, that's not what we're here for. We're here for the town of Dumfries residents. So we want to make sure that the funding is appropriately allocated for our residents. So thank you for articulating that zoning is what the issue is, because that's the first time I've heard it articulated that way. Until then, I couldn't understand why it was such an issue. And that answers then why, to your point, how many students do we have going? And then that would explain why the number may be low. Because my son, for instance, he's a Dumfries resident, but he goes to Swans Creek. So the school bus takes him there. But children who are in our most densely populated areas, which is the southern part of town, who go to Dumfries Elementary or to Graham Park, which is not in the town of Dumfries, but that's where our residents are going, they're out of zone for the Boys and Girls Club. So therein lies the problem. So we have to then maybe look at how do we come at it from that angle. And then I guess the issue is then if the funding is allocated to you all, how do we then ensure that that funding is going toward the buses that will get our children there?
Right.
Because we want to make sure that our children have access to the club.
Yes, and we have in previous years when there has been room on the buses, because the buses are basically used for our before and after school program, which is a program that parents pay for. But if there was room on the bus, if the bus was not full, then we would fill the bus with Dumfries kids and they could ride our bus at no cost. And so we did that for a couple of years, and we've done that at Graham Park also.
Well, see, I'll be honest with you, keeping with transparency, I like to be as transparent as possible. I know that there have been, during the summer, I know that there have been pool trips and movie trips and trips that are supposed to happen during the summer that do not happen because the bus breaks down.
Right.
And, my son has gone for a whole week without activities, extracurricular, off-site activities because the bus doesn't work.
Right.
So I know that the bus is a problem. And if we can't get off-site extracurricular activities happening in the summertime, then the issue goes far beyond whether or not the bus is crowded. At this point, we're talking about, does the bus work?
Right.
And so that's an even bigger issue.
Yeah, and right now, we have 3 buses at the Heiser Club. We only need 2, but we have that 3rd one for every time a bus needs to go into the shop.
So are 3 buses or are 2 buses enough to get the children back and forth from Dumfries Elementary and Graham Park? Would those 2 buses operate fully operational and reliable? Would that make the difference in getting the students from Dumfries Elementary and Graham Park Middle School to the club?
So I can't guarantee that we're always going to have 3 buses.
No, I think
That's not my question.
Yeah. So yes, absolutely. So if you're saying that functional buses, right, that we know are going to start every time and not, have a all the other issues that our aging buses are going to have. 3 buses would be optimal for Heiser to be able to not only go to the schools that we do provide before and after care for, but also to support what you were saying earlier for the funding that's provided by Dumfries to say, okay, Dumfries Elementary or wherever the school that we decide the funding is going to go to, this is your specific bus that's going because provided by the town of Dumfries, and the kids would be able to, join or get on the bus or whatnot. Again, understanding that the buses are only 14 passengers. If we're looking at, more capacity, that would be different. But yes, if 3 buses in optimal condition would be able to secure the kids that we need.
Okay, one last question and then I'll let it go. I'm sorry, it's gotten a little longer. The other question I have is when it comes to funding sources, because I know that you all do not and cannot rely solely on the town of Dumfries.
Absolutely.
When I've visited other Boys and Girls Clubs here in Prince William County, for instance, I visited the Boys and Girls Club in Manassas and I've visited the Boys and Girls Club in Dale City. Both of those clubs look much better than the one here in the town of Dumfries. How is your funding allocated from a hierarchical point of view? Because I don't understand. I understand that the building in Dumfries may be older, but why is it in such bad condition compared to the other 2 buildings? How is that funding allocated? Why is the building here in such terrible conditions compared to those other buildings? How do we explain that?
That's a very good question. And I did say that earlier in my presentation because it is a huge, there's a lot of capital improvements that need to happen. I think at this point, we are beyond painting a wall and putting up a picture, right? We need to tear up some floors. We need to take some walls down. Really, some of the infrastructure in the club really needs to get a huge overhaul. So I think those things take major dollars, right? Whereas if we do have support from the town of Dumfries, we do have some support from the Prince William County as well, but Heiser gets a smaller portion of that. Depending on what grant that we receive, it's really allocated by the funder. But if there's other fundraising that the Board of County, our board fundraising with our 2 special events, which is our Big Kid event and our golf event, it is split evenly. But I think the issue with Heiser right now is we really need to put some major dollars into it to renovate it. We did have I want to say smaller renovation maybe 8 years ago where we did the whole game room, ripped out the floors and the front desk. I'm not sure if you've been around for that long, but that was a major.
I do remember that.
And we also did have a gym renovation as well. So I think we've been able to do smaller portions, but some of the rooms that have not been touched at all from renovations, like the art room and the kitchen and things like that, need to get renovated as well. So to answer your question, we need the funding for the larger projects and not the smaller, let's paint or, rip up a carpet and whatnot. So it does need to get up to speed. We're very aware of that. The board is actually, it's constantly on the list of our actions that we talk about in terms of what needs to get done. Jerome has actually solicited a few other board members to come in on a Saturday and do some of those projects as well. But we do know that it does need a lot of help. And it's not the same, but it's also because some of the funding, the larger funding, Inova Health did a large funding for our Hilton Club 2 years ago, and Manassas City does support the Manassas Boys and Girls Club as well. So we're in their budget. So we do need help. We're not hiding anything in terms of you talk about transparency. We know that club needs help. I know it's something that we talk about often. And there is a plan as well. So Greater Washington has a strategic plan in terms for all of our clubs that kind of need a little bit of that assistance. So there are capital improvements. We recently had the roofs done for all Prince William County clubs as well. And that was in the tune of $600,000 for the 3. So things like that, you can't see it. It's not beautiful, but at least we're not putting buckets down when it rains. It's not raining inside when it rains outside anymore at the Heiser Club. So things like that, we are putting money into, but still, it still needs a lot of work.
Well, one of the things that I just heard you say, which is very bothersome to me, is you said that money, you got some funding and it was split equally. Equality and equity are not the same thing. You all need more than the other clubs. And I think that's something that your board needs to look into. So just because the money was given out equally amongst the clubs, that's not good enough. You all need more than those other clubs. And sir, Mr. King, I know you're not at the podium, but that's something that needs to be looked at. The General Heiser Club needs a lot more work than the other clubs. So I really do not want to hear that the money was given out equally, because what you all need is far more than some of the other clubs. So that, and as a matter of fact, it's disheartening to hear that the money is split equally between the three clubs. That's not okay, because you all have a greater need here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Okay, Councilman Fields has something. Hold on a second. before
That's
you-
fine. It's one question. Though I'm quite sure you've been in contact with the county school board, have any of you gone exactly to the school board meetings and made a presentation?
I had many years ago. Have you? Yeah, not recently.
Okay.
Not recently.
You know, I did something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Jerome has an introduction.
We have reached out and spoke with Justin Wilkes and had some communication in regards to the school bus and making us be able to come to Grand Park and other schools in the town of Dumfries. We totally agree that the town of Dumfries and the kids in the town of Dumfries are the ones that we are really trying to service, right? So we are with you guys on that. If we can get some support in regards to buses, any help you guys can present to us, we'll take it. We want the bus to go to Grand Park and all of you guys' schools right here in the town of Dumfries.
Okay. My follow-up to that is this. Thank you for that very honest and candid answer. I will take it upon myself to go to the school board's upcoming meeting and make a presentation myself as council member for the town of Dumfries. Because not only do we have the two schools that has been mentioned, Dumfries Elementary and Grand Park Middle, there are big or significant portion of our children that also attend Triangle Elementary. Because the town happens to be split in three ways when it comes to school districts, especially on the elementary side. There's Swans Creek, Dumfries Elementary, and Triangle Elementary. For this little small town, they really split us up three ways. So for middle schools, we have Grand Park and Forest Park for middle school. Potomac, yeah, for the middle school. So it is quite unfortunate, but I believe things, I'm just gonna leave it at this. I'm gonna do it. We'll be standing right beside you. I will make it my business to make it my business. After that, in the past, I've done things actually to the independent side.
The Hilton Foundation, because the club bears their name, they earmark a lot of the funding and the resources to beautify and to build it. You have business owners who, kids who went through there, they renovated the cafe, right? The cafe had, what was the amount of money that went into renovating that cafe in there? It was $20,000. It was a $20,000 donation. The cafe, they have their business name. And so the board that governs the Boys and Girls Club is a fundraising board. The two staple events that she talked about, the money that got split, is a golf tournament, which last year raised
40,
chaired by Mr. Johnson.
about 50,000.
About 50,000. And then we have our Big Kids event. Those are two signature fundraisers that we have to go out and get businesses to donate. We got to get people to sign up for the golf courses, the golf tournament. We have to get people to sponsor holes and all of that. Once that money, it's a collective effort of all three clubs and the people, and it's 100% volunteer effort for people to come out there. So those are the two signature events. As far as the other funding sources for the club, right? You bring money in through paid sports programs, as far as also paid
Healthcare, licensed
childcare are funding sources. But the lion's share of it comes from the major support organization and volunteers. Prince William County, they write a huge check out of their tax budget to go into the Boys and Girls Club as well as the city of Manassas. And then we give what we can from our standpoint. But there is funding that comes from businesses, line share come over businesses, and we've had different organization and groups that Mr. Johnson there has been getting to start putting a lot of work. We're on the governance and the safety committee, and we're always walking through the club, looking at what's need and reporting back to the board on those type of needs that we see. And we definitely, because Heiser has been our club and now he's the chair. So he's taken that lion's share as the chair to ensure that the Heiser Club is getting all the improvements that it needs. And so it's not going without notice, the work that it is. It is a fundraising. We get a little bit of support from headquarters because we are part of the Metro DC region. And so we have Fairfax County, Washington, DC, Montgomery County.
Alexandria.
And Alexandria. I forget Alexandria's not a county, but those are all a part of the region and where all the funding has to come from when we get major donations. So that's just a little bit about how the funding works for the Boys and Girls Club and where the money comes from. But it's a donor-based organization. $1,200 is what it takes to put a child through that program. We're only asking for $50 in membership, and most of it is scholarship, and no kids get turned away as a regardless. With with buses, you also need to hire drivers, and you're gonna need staff, and you're gonna need people that are trained, and everybody who comes through, including board members, all need background checks to be a part of that. And so background checks and all of that gotta play. So there's a lot of things. I thank you for coming down from both the region and everything to give us that presentation. And just to give a little insight. With that, I'm going to call for a recess because we've been sitting down for 2 hours to give everybody an opportunity to stretch. So take a quick 10 minutes, council. That's for. All right. I want to welcome everybody back from our recess. I'm going to ask Ms. Nadia from the Boys and Girls Club to come back to the podium as we close out this presentation. I know we worked to get her some Wi-Fi so she can give us some updates on the town of Dumfries numbers.
Yes, thank you for that Wi-Fi. Much appreciated. So I just wanted to be a good steward of what was asked of me tonight and wanted to give the council members and the mayor an update that we are at 58 members for town of Dumfries residents that use the Boys and Girls Club. That is inclusive of our before and after care program, our sports leagues, summer camp, and just our general membership as well. So that's if anyone needed the breakdown, we could gladly provide that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we move from our presentations to our introductory items. And our first one is an ordinance to create a town department. Or is it to update the town department? Oh, we're creating the whole department. Okay. Create the town department, civic engagement and recreation. All right, so it's up for discussion. In the introductory, we talk about it. The next meeting, we actually vote on it. So any changes? All right. All right. Yeah, Town Manager, you want to present it? And then
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So Mayor, members of council, you have before you ordinance establishing a civic engagement and recreation department. Within the ordinance, we needed permission to establish the department with 4 FTEs. For this budget year, the financial implications is roughly $219,000. And we have not decided at this time how many part-time positions, but we have estimated approximately $30,000 for the part-time positions. Typically, what we will do is hire some youth at roughly $12 to $15 an hour, but we haven't allocated how many positions that would take at this time. I'm available for questions if you have any.
All right. Any questions about the creation of the Civic Engagement Department? All right, in creating the department, have you already created what outcomes that we're gonna be measuring the success of this department?
As of right now, no. What we're doing is creating a department where we're going to start programming activities for our youth, as well as identifying some of the events that we have that's going to be conducted for the rest of this year. The department currently doesn't have any staff, and we have several major events that needs to occur as well. So we have not put the goals and outcomes together as of yet. But it will be decided with an up and coming budget year.
So we're looking to fund this department in the current fiscal year for the last 3 months of the year?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I guess by the time we get to this or the next one, can you give us some, like, what are the measures of like, kind of like success from based on what we're spending or what are we budgeting for in this?
Sure. Measurement for success and the goals of the department for next meeting. Okay.
Kind of like what we do with some of the other stuff in the budget book so that we can measure in these next 3 months, like what success looks like. Now that we're actually doing a department.
Oh,
Like, or what are some of the outcomes you expect, the goals, the mission statements, outcomes? I know I say measurements,
Yeah.
but I'm talking outcomes.
Gotcha.
Now with creating this department, how much are we anticipating needing to put in our capital projects budget? Right, we have the 2 parks, we have a recreation building that we're looking at, and I guess now we heard tonight that I guess one of the parks we don't even manage because we gave it out in a franchise. I don't know how many years, but it's in a franchise agreement with Historic Dumfries. So we got 2 parks and a community center. So how much are we anticipating needing in the capital projects budget for this?
So the capital projects budget will be presented with the standard budget in the up and coming weeks. If I recall, I'm estimating roughly, believe to go towards the community recreation center, roughly $8 million over the next 4 years. And we have, and I'm trying to visualize numbers. We have a couple hundred thousand towards the repairs and upkeep. But of course, the next budget will be presented for the council's approval. I don't have the CIP budget in front of me.
Okay. Do we anticipate any revenue services or fee charge services for our parks and recs? Are we looking to create programs where we raise revenue, or is this going to be 100% tax supported annually?
Yes.
Or are we, so it's just going to be?
Yes, we anticipate programming activities that will raise funding for the town.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's no more questions, then. Oh, I'm sorry. Chair Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say that I am a strong supporter of standing up this department. Some justifications for standing it up prior to July 1 would be if we stand up this department, we bring staff on, we can have activities ready for our kids during the summer. We wait till July 1, we're already in the middle of the summer. So I think to me, success, obviously you're going to bring us your presentation. But to me, success is standing up the department because yes, we hear from various organizations tonight. One thing that's unique about Parks and Recs is it's accessible to our kids. It's walkable. Transportation is not an issue. And this is something that we need to do now forward thinking to invest in their future. Additionally, I would say I wouldn't concentrate so much on making this a revenue streaming. The whole goal is public service, not to generate income. It's about providing services to our kids and to people in the community that need it. So I want to say I'm a strong supporter of this, looking forward to it. And with that, I will yield. Thank you.
Councilman Pete.
As always, I just want to say thank you, Town Manager, for the hard work that you put in to get us this far. As always, I'm eager to be ready to open yesterday. But I know that there are some steps that we have to take to get to that, to get to the fruition of that. So I just want to say thank you for all the hard work that you're putting in for this. This is going to be something that is very vital for the success of our children. That's a milestone in itself to mark after, as I'm sitting around here walking around gathering signatures to get my name placed on the ballot. I'm hearing a big buzz of recreational. What are the town council members going to do about recreational for these kids? Hey, Councilman Pete, these kids need something to do. So again, I want to say thank you for help leading the way on wanting to charge on bringing some recreational for our children to over exceed the boredom that they're having right now and some of the outrageous things that I'm seeing them engage themselves in, as I know that even with the Boys and Girls Club, some of the programs that they have there that we can allow to be established here for the inner townhouse communities. And the biggest thing for me is the walkable access. You know, not everyone have a transportation to get to the Boys and Girls Club. You know, we don't have the sidewalks for them to walk there right now. And for them to be able to, hey, mom and dad, can I walk to the Clyde Washington Community and Recreation Center? And the parents and agreement say, yes, that's a big success that I'm looking to see as a visionary come to the head. And again, I want to thank you and staff for putting in the continuous hard work. And I know this is going to be a task and a challenge because it's new to all of us. A recreational center for the town of Dumfries is new to all of us. But as I believe that the feelings that the council member have, the heartwarming that I have and that you all have in the staff to get this done for the success of the children, the seniors and our homeless, I believe that we're moving in a great direction. And again, I want to say thank you. And also thank you, town council.
I'm just gonna to add to my sentiment. A Parks and Recs department is in our comprehensive plan. It's been in our comprehensive plan since 2014. You know, I've been a chief advocate ever since I've been on this council for Parks and Rec department. Matter of fact, I created a whole Parks and Recs commission. Councilman Pete was chair. There was a council that didn't support Parks and Recs that actually dismantled it. And I just want to make sure that as we come back, that we're doing it right. There were certain things we had to do when we had that commission. We had to do surveys. We had to assess what the community wanted and what they needed and collect that data. We had challenges really compiling and putting that data back because it just wasn't about what we wanted as a commission. We wanted to really understand what the needs and the wants of the community was. So with the charrettes and the planning, right? I don't have a problem. I'm just asking, I'm trying to do a little due diligence as we plan it because yes, I'm 100% supporting what we're doing. We're actually in the process of redoing a whole comp plan. But I just want to know as we do this, like, have we taken the time to assess the community needs? Have we've done the surveys to figure out what our priorities are? Or is it just, I guess, what we decide we want, right? And also, as we look at the inclusivity of what we need, the accessibility, are we looking at everybody of every ability and every age range, from our youngest members to our eldest members when we look at creating? You know, that's why I asked for the outcome so that I can see, not saying that I didn't support the Parks and Recs, but I'm 100% support. I just want to know what the long range plan that is going to continue to align with our support as we put this forward. So I'm still in support. I just want to know about the budgeting and the funding. I know that we want to get some summer programs. We're in the month of March. We got April, May, and June. And I think we want to appropriate next week, 2 weeks, we want to appropriate some funding for those 3 months. And we're looking at now trying to put some folks in that department. Right now, you have, I guess, one person in civic engagement.
Yes, sir.
Right, that's out doing there. And we have 2 parks and I guess 2 community centers that we have to figure out what we want to do for those 3 months. So that's just, those are just my questions to make sure that we put it out there.
If you don't mind, sir, are you able to share those with me so I could make sure I answer all your questions
Yes.
in the next 2 weeks? Thank you.
I think I can copy and paste this off. I'll get with Evan.
Appreciate it.
All right, Chair Pro Tem, you got enough? Okay.
Just to add this out there, and this is not to, I wasn't saying that you weren't in support of Parks and Recs, but I do want to say the state that we're in as a community now is not the state we were in 10 years ago when y'all came up with the Parks and Recs Commission. We're dealing with children who have just come out of a pandemic and they're suffering with mental health crisis. We're dealing with children that are oversaturated with violence. They don't have any access. Right now, our kids need more social interaction and they need a safe place to go. above anything. We could figure out all the activities. We'll have all that fall into place. But there's some things that they can play basketball, they can play checkers, they can do whatever. But I think that we can't hold them to the standard of what we had 10 years ago because we just don't have the luxury right now. Our kids are bombarded with violence and have very few outlets. So more than anything, to keep them safe, to give them safe access, to just help them rebuild their social skills. I know I was reading a study about a year ago that said, you know, if you have a fourth grader, the last time that child was in a regular school setting, they were in kindergarten. So we have to work on rebuilding those steps. I just want to say that I want to make sure that we're not putting too much and saying we've got to do surveys and we've got to do this right now. We need to get back to the basics, which is a little bit more, you know, we're not above and beyond STEM. We're more at A, B, C, D, you know, like that kind of thing in terms of socialization and providing for the kids. So I just wanted to offer that insight. Thank you.
All right, seeing that we've exhausted that discussion, I move quickly to item B, to schedule a public hearing and consideration of an ordinance approving the amendments to Chapter 70 zoning, Article 1 and 5 of the Code of Virginia for the town of Dumfries. I think this is for the billboard, right, Mr. Tabor? Come on. The floor is yours.
Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, Chair Pro Tem, and members of council. The town of Dumfries received a petition from HS Route 1 LLC to amend the code of the town of Dumfries to permit the relocation and reconstruction of outdoor advertising signs that have an outdoor advertising permit within the M1 zoning district. The petition is related to the necessary relocation of an existing billboard currently within the right-of-way on Route 1 that was mentioned in a previous presentation this evening. The current billboard is impacted by the Route 1, Route 234 interchange improvement project and will have to be relocated. Billboards lawfully erected prior to the adoption of the town zoning section of the code are considered non-conforming signs. This is a request to schedule a public hearing and consideration of an ordinance adopting the proposed town code section text amendment and referring the item to the Planning Commission for a public hearing and recommendation regarding adoption of the proposed text amendment. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, council, any questions about the text amendment or the changes to the billboard? I guess my main thing is, and I probably know the answer, but I'm gonna ask it out loud. Can we collect any tax revenue on this according to the zone in these billboards?
Property tax?
Just property tax, but
Yes,
we can't get any tax revenue for the advertisement off that billboard.
Right.
Yeah, I figured that, but I just figured I'd ask again because we have about 3 billboards in town that we collect $0 in revenue. And I think I looked at advertising on one and it was upwards to $6,000 and $7,000 just to put something up there. So just wondering, I was like, did we get any of that revenue? No. Okay. That was my only question. All right, council, any questions, anything about this public hearing that we want to schedule? All right, no more discussion. Madam Attorney?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, members of council, during your special meeting of February 28, you adopted a code of ethics.
Hold on, Madam Attorney, do we need to make a motion to schedule that public hearing before we move forward? Or
I believe you did.
Yeah, I was like,
I
before
jumped
you
the gun. Thank
before
you.
let me before you go to that one, I thought you was about to make the motion, so I didn't know. That's why. No, we're not on the next item yet. We're looking to schedule a public hearing. All right, so I'm gonna say this. I'm looking for a motion to schedule a public hearing.
Mayor, so moved. The motion to schedule a public hearing for the ordinance approving amendments to chapter 70 zoning.
Second. All right, it's been motioned and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call for the question.
Councilmember Peterson? Aye. Councilmember Pete?
Yes.
Councilmember Fields?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Miles?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nickerson?
Yes.
Mayor Wood?
Yes.
Motion's approved.
All right, now, Madam Attorney. Yes, yeah.
I need to make a motion for the ordinance establishing the Department of Civic Engagement. There's no motion made for that one.
No, we're bringing it to the next minute.
Oh, see, I'm confused.
Yeah, I just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
Second, yeah.
Because we doing first read, second, just on, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay,
right.
go ahead.
Madam Attorney.
I want to make sure that
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor and members of council, as I tried to state before, on your special meeting on February 28th, you adopted a code of ethics, and as part of that transaction or action, it was recommended by Chair Pro Tem Miles that we bring back an ordinance which would have given you all the power to enforce the code of ethics. The draft ordinance that's being introduced tonight is entitled Ordinance Authorizing Punishment for Members of Dumfries Town Council for Certain Disorderly Behavior. And it was prepared in response to the request for that ordinance. In summary, what the draft before you will do is, first of all, it defines what disorderly behavior will be for this council. And then it lays out the potential punishment that council can impose by majority vote. And those options for punishment are, number one, a fine, number two, a reprimand, public or private reprimand, a formal censure, and lastly, a loss of either committee assignment or loss of seniority. If you look at your draft in its entirety at line 54, a line was left blank for you all to determine the maximum fine that you would impose as a result of a violation. But along with that blank, which was clearly left for additional consideration, I just want to make sure that you understand that the draft was prepared with, based on just my research and what I understood might have been the intended goals for the legislation. Everything there in terms of content is subject to your acceptance, change, or rejection in its entirety. That concludes my prepared remarks. I'm prepared to answer your questions if you have any. Thank you.
Chair Pro Tem.
Thank you, and thank you, Madam Attorney, for that overview. I just want to say that I am a proponent of the Code of Ethics. Last week when we had our meeting, I did ask the attorney to look into giving it some teeth, right? to give it some teeth. I think that, we as a council have stated that we are committed to transparency. We are committed to upholding the highest ethics, and we do hold ourselves to a higher standards. I personally, I'm not a huge fan of legislation that's done in symbolism, that's structured in symbolism. Symbolism has its place and it's important, but if you don't have any actionable things to make it pop, for lack of a better word, then it's just symbol. So I do think that this is not, I just want to be clear, this is not a way for us to discipline each other unbiasedly to just go around looking for things. But if a council member has violated the rules of conduct and we see that we have a problem, we do have to hold each other accountable. That is, I think, the least that we can do. And I think it's our responsibility as elected officials. You back?
Okay. Any other discussion? Vice Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I agree with Pro Tem Miles. I think that accountability is important. We, as elected officials, there really are no requirements or qualifications for us to sit here on this dais and govern, other than residential requirements. So, that's it. We just have to live within a certain zip code, within a certain boundary in order to get on the ballot and sit here. And so with that said, when we do sit here and when we are elected to sit here, we are elected and held to a higher standard than everyone else. And we sit here with the responsibility to act with the utmost integrity and hold ourselves and each other to a higher level, a higher standard of accountability and responsibility. And with that said, I also think that it is important that if we are here and we find ourselves in ethical dilemmas and ethical situations and we make the wrong decisions, we have to hold each other accountable. And we have to do so with a document, a guiding document that says that, you know, this is how we're governing each other for that matter. And it's not about a big brother, big sister kind of standard. It really is a standard that we have all agreed on. We have a code of ethics, we have a code of conduct. And it's really about black and white on paper. These are the standards that we're holding each other to. And these are the standards that we are governing ourselves by, because we're not up here just representing ourselves, we're representing our constituents. And with that, I think it is important that we hold each other and ourselves accountable, because we're here, and whether we choose to be or not, we are idols for children. We have people who are looking up to us, adults and children, and they're watching everything that we say and do. And whether we like it or not, they're watching us and they're mirroring our activities. And, you know, though we make mistakes, we have to make sure that we are holding ourselves accountable. And I think that having something like this in place helps us to make sure that we are holding to that standard. However, I don't like the word punish and punishment.
That's what it is.
And I think that with a dictionary as vast as the internet, Madam the town attorney, is there another word that we could use, or is this a word that's standard? I don't like how that word sounds. It sounds like something that I would use for my child or my pet. But if there's just cause for that word, but I do like what it represents. I just don't like the tonal.
Mayor.
Yes.
So, Madam Vice Mayor, the word punishment was utilized because that was the term that was used by state code, which authorizes this action. So, everything has been I've tried to keep everything closely tailored to the limits of the authority the General Assembly has given to governing bodies to take such action. But again, as I said, the terminology there was punishment. The terminology within that state statute was also specifically for disorderly behavior. So for me, there may be some room to substitute the term punishment. I've told you my reason for utilizing that. There won't be a great deal of room to sort of substitute other terminology like disorderly behavior. Lastly, on that point, I did refer to other examples of similar legislation in other Virginia localities, and all of those pieces of legislation, whether they were in their codes or within their charter, they incorporated the term punish or punishment as well. So I just want to keep you mindful that it's always better to incorporate the statutory language whenever it's possible. But I will look for a better term and bring that before the body.
It's not enough. It doesn't give me so much heartburn that I'm not willing to move forward. Thank you. I yield.
Yeah, my sentiments was on the word punishment here as well. And I went and looked at Virginia Code 15.2-1406 just to look at what the roles and responsibilities that council has, and things that I think we all can continue to perfect: governance and policy making, approving the budget and setting the tax rate, continuing to focus on community goals and projects, strategic planning, dealt with advocacy, community representation, you know, and the accountability. With that said, and reading through this thoroughly, one of the things I didn't see outlined clearly was a due process, establishing due process, right? It's almost, as a Black man, I see oftentimes that somebody is already guilty before proven in a lot of cases in this country, right? And so there's no due process if you can come back and just show us what would be due process and respects to the rights of the accused, including whatever type of notice needs to be given or opportunity to be heard, an evaluation by an impartial body or committee, right? Because it says in this ordinance that it could be a partiality or bias in it, right? Are there any type of limitations on the punishments? Right? Do we have clearly defined limits on each punishment to prevent excessive penalties? For example, I know we left it blank, but specify specific what the penalties is for the maximum fine amount, or, I don't know, lashings out in the park. I don't know what the punishments is. We gotta, and then, is there an appeals process to it, whatever, if there's an independent community, are there any checks and balances to even this, safeguard? And then I think the most important thing, with anything, when we became council members, we were afforded training. We were afforded education. We are members of Virginia Municipal League there. We voted on the code of ethics, but I can't honestly say, does everybody understand, right, everything that's written in the code of ethics, right? Have they all? So when we got different people come on, do we sit down and give them training just like we do about what their roles and responsibilities are? So those are just some of the concerns I got to as I looked at how to look at this from a different lens. All right. So those were my things.
You can get better. Do you want me to address a couple things?
Okay.
So I mean, I think there are a couple things that I can certainly bring back. You are absolutely correct. There are no provisions in this that provide for due process. Those are things that you all can decide whether you want to incorporate or not. But you referred to section 15.2-1406 for some of your references, but this ordinance is grounded in 15.2-1400. And the provision is subparagraph D, and it specifically says the local governing body may punish its members. So because that language is so clear that it's the governing body that is being empowered to take action, I'm of the opinion that you cannot delegate any part of this to a commission or any kind of other body. Hopefully, whatever we decide on, if we decide on anything, where there were concerns about impartiality or objectivity, the language of the ordinance will help in that regard. Lastly, in terms of the punishments, as I indicated, the reference is actually to line 56 for the reference to the fine. That was left unaddressed for you all to decide whether, you want to put a maximum fine or state a specific fine at all. There were some samples where it simply authorized them, a local governing body, to impose a fine, and there was not an amount specified. There were other instances where a specific fine was specified, which means that it couldn't go below or it couldn't go higher than that number. But there were some that were fairly high. And I'm just trying to step back away from that discussion in as much as I can. But with respect to the fine is something out there that clearly there is some objectively some lack of detail, but with respect to all the other punishments that are provided for, they're fairly specific. So I don't think there should be much concern about the uncertainty of the punishment, because there are 3 additional things that can be done. And I will take at this time to just sort of emphasize the one thing council is expressly unauthorized to do by this ordinance is to expel a member. And there are certainly examples of that in various locations in Virginia, but our ordinance says that's something that you absolutely cannot do. So, but I will bring back a couple options from due process for the next reading. Thank you.
Chair Pro Tem?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And I just want to point out, just for the public's benefit, the things that we've said in this ordinance, an individual member of council could be punished for. Committing a criminal act during an open or closed meeting of the town council. Engaging in malfeasance of office. Violating a provision of the Code of Ethics for the Dumfries Town Council and town appointed officials. Violating a provision of the Dumfries Town Charter. Being convicted of a felony or misdemeanor related to town operations, not in your personal life, but in relation to town operations, including duties of the town council. I'm of the opinion that that's pretty black and white. We all know that we have been, we as African Americans have been victims of the criminal justice system. We know the road to, I'm not going to say that word, but word to hell is paved with good intentions, because I can't think of another saying right now, and I do apologize. But in this case, it's pretty black and white. It's not left a lot of room for interpretation. And then additionally, it's still going to come for a vote of the entire council. So I do think that it's not, I hear you. I understand your concern, because we can't, you can't assume everyone has good intentions. But in this case, it's as black and white as I think it can get. It's as unbiased as I think you can get. And I will remind everyone that anything can be misused if it's your intention to misuse it. Anything can be abused if it's your intention to abuse it. That is not the intention of this council, and I'm going to give future councils more credit than that, because it's not our intention to abuse each other. It's not our intention to over politicize the office. It's not our turn to be angry with somebody and say, you know what, now I want to hit you with a fine of X amount of dollars because I have a personal beef with you. So I think that, as far as bias goes, I think this goes through a lens. Now, to the town attorney's point, the fine amount is left blank. I think it's like that so we can have a robust discussion about what that number is. I want to throw it out. I'm interested in hearing what some feedback. I would say it says not more than. I would throw out $500. That's not more than. That doesn't mean everybody would get hit for $500, but that's a decision the council would talk about if there was going to be a fine. I would say not more than that.
Councilman Fields.
I agree 100%. The statement that Chair Pro Tem made, it is black and white. That is the process. That is your due process right there. Your appeal comes at the ballot box.
All right, your number, we'll just go down and get numbers so that.
I agree.
Okay. Yeah.
500.
Okay.
I'm fine with that. 500.
Okay. All right, so we'll just come back. Any further discussion?
Yeah, just a point of clarification. At this time, do I need to make a motion to have this item put on the agenda for our next council meeting?
I think it's gonna get moved up to action for the next meeting.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
As is.
Well, she's gonna,
$500.
and she's come back with this session.
Some other suggestions? No, as is. The way it's written.
No, it was presented as a draft, so with council's consensus indicating that you're serious about a more formal consideration, we will move this forward to the next meeting. I spoke briefly with the Chair Pro Tem about the process because you all had no draft at all, no suggestion of the content when the request was made. I think, in terms of a formality, just saying move to schedule this for formal consideration at the next meeting for a second reading would be appropriate. And with the suggestions incorporated.
I move, we move this item to our next meeting for consideration of formal action with the suggested language inserted.
Suggested language of the 500?
Of the 500, yes.
Okay, we'll make sure it's clear. Second. I'm sorry.
All right, any further discussion? All right, Madam Clerk, restate the motion. And who made it and who seconded it, and then call for the question.
Pro Tem Miles made the motion. It was seconded by Councilmember Fields. And it is to move this action item to the next meeting for consideration with changes and with the inserted guidelines as stated.
All right, call for the question.
Councilmember Peterson?
Aye.
Councilmember Pete?
Yes.
Councilmember Fields?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Miles? Aye. Vice Mayor Nickerson?
Yes.
Mayor Wood?
Yes.
This motion is passed.
All right, we have no action items?
May I have a point of privilege, sir?
Yes.
I wanted to, before we moved on, I didn't have an opportunity to talk about the grants. So we had several nonprofits present to us tonight, request for funding. So I would like the council's support to direct the town manager, to direct the town manager to come up with some grant program guidelines. The purpose of this would be to come up with a transparent and inclusive outline for a clear and equitable application process. And the reason I'm asking for this is because what I want is to ensure that we have a process, because we have a lot of nonprofits in the town of Dumfries. And for all the different nonprofits we have, they each bring something different to our residents and our residents can benefit from. But we have no clear and transparent process for determining who gets what money. And, you know, right now, it's pretty much, there are those that we've been giving money to, but I'm sure that there are nonprofits out there who don't know that we may have money to give. And then there are nonprofits who do know, but they don't get to us in time before the money is spent, so forth and so on. So I would like to see us as a town establish a program where we have clear and transparent guidelines to say, apply by this date. These are the guidelines. And then we have a process, an application process that says, this is how we, you know, well, first of all, we would start with a dollar amount every year that's put into the budget. This is how much money we have to give into the grants program. And then we are allocating this money to the different grants, to the different nonprofits. And then the nonprofits will have to apply. And whether it's the Boys and Girls Club, the Future Kings, or whatever program it is, even Historic Dumfries, if we take them off of contract. Right now, I know that they're on the contract. But because what I'm seeing is Future Kings has a great program, but I don't think we've given them money in the past. But how do we say no to them and yes to someone else, or yes to them and no to someone else? And I don't want the burden of trying to decide which program should get the money this year and which one should get it next year. And I think the best way for us to do that is with a clearly defined application process. And if we have that, then it takes the burden off of the organization for coming to us and trying to, you know, who gets to us first and who gets to the bucket of money first, so to speak. And this way, our community also has the opportunity to get the services of the organizations that we have out here in the town based on what the guidelines are. And those guidelines need to include the applications have to be in by a certain time. Who are you servicing in our town? And what are the benefits to the residents in our town? Because again, we want to make sure that the money that we are allocating as a council is money that's going to our residents. So we want to make sure that, you know, so anyway, I think you get my picture. So if you and your team could put together some guidelines that you'll bring back to us, that we will evaluate and then come up with a grants program that we will every year come back and say, okay, we have this pot of money. This is the grants program. And then you all manage it and then include in that the requirements is that for every year that someone wants money, you know, they apply and then they come back to us and they say, we got money last year and this is what we did with the money. What do you all think about that?
Yeah, I think that, because we was looking at this during ARPA, and I guess it came out that we had to go through a third party or whatever, because we couldn't give it out directly. And so just, I don't know why we couldn't, you know, we had to bring in another organization to give our ARPA money from.
It was for the ARPA money, but if this
Yeah.
is money that we
So
are
that's what-
as a
yeah.
town,
Yeah. So no, I get it, because I don't know why we had to go give out grants to a different organization. So I'm just curious. Yeah, I'm open to seeing that policy and presenting. So at a future meeting, that'll work.
I have a question. I just want to know, do the council want this before we adopt the up and coming budget, or can we bring it back once the budget has been adopted?
I think we're too far into this year's budget process, so I think this needs to be something that we look at for next year's budget process. We're already in the crawls of this year's budget process, because with next year's budget process, we'll also know what kind of money we're looking at for that bucket as well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So, do I need to make the motion myself? I make a motion to direct the town manager to create a budget program, a budget guidelines. A grant program for the town of Dumfries for our nonprofits.
I'll second that motion. All right, any discussion on the motion on the floor? All right, seeing that, Madam Clerk, repeat the motion back, please, and call for the question.
Okay.
The motion is to direct the town manager to create a clear, transparent grant guidelines and also an applicable application process as well. The motion was made by Vice Mayor Nickerson and was seconded by Mayor Wood. Councilmember Peterson? Aye. Councilmember Pete?
Yes.
Councilmember Fields?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Miles?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nickerson?
Yes.
Mayor Wood?
Yes.
That motion is passed.
All right, we have no action items, and that concludes our agenda. We've exhausted it, so this meeting is now adjourned. So.